brushes. Hi Renee, hi Lori, hi Greg. Just give me a couple seconds here. I'm just trying to grab some brushes. Hey Tom, good morning. Yes, I am still sniffling from a week ago. This went for a couple days and it will snow. So, I guess those are good. Let me wave at some people here. Okay. Good morning. We'll get started in about a minute or so. Let's see, move some things out of the way. So this should be interesting. I've never painted live. So this could be fun or it could be a complete train wreck. That's okay. Even when it's a train wreck, you always learn something. Let me just wave at some people here. Okay, guys, hold on a second. My cats are getting ready to fight. Nope, you're not gonna fight. We're not doing this. Nope. Okay. You could have done that an hour ago. It's like having little kids in the house. Marty Kelly, how you doing? I'm just gonna wave at you. So what do you think, Marty? This gonna be fun or a complete train wreck? Hey, Kelsey, happy birthday. Oh, thanks, Renee. I can do it. I can definitely make a mess on paper here. So this, it'll be fun, even if it's a complete mess. The trick is I have to lean back to paint because where the, whoops, I keep bumping the arm here. It's 10 o'clock, so why don't we just get started? So good morning. How is everybody? Everybody feeling good today? Staying healthy, staying safe. So today I am going to attempt to paint with gouache live on Facebook. I love painting with gouache. It's probably my favorite medium to paint with. A lot of people don't know about gouache, except if you went to art school, right, Renee? Remember we had to paint with hues? And I remember going to the art store, first day of school, and asking for a set of gouache. And the person in the art store looked at me and was like, freshman, you guys are so stupid. And they had me practice pronouncing gouache in front of everybody. So that was pretty funny. And what was even funnier than three people behind me as I'm walking out, they asked for gouache as well. So I didn't feel too bad. It still felt pretty stupid, but so yes, it's pronounced gouache, but if you call it gouache, I won't make fun of you. That's okay. Well, gouache is basically a water-based paint. It's kind of like watercolor. And hold on, I'm just gonna wave it up some people. It has like chalk in it as one of the binders. That's why it gives it a flat look. And it also has gum arabic. So you can use it, you can put it on thick, but you can't put it on too thick. Hi, Serena. Because if you do, it can crack and fall off. Learn that, again, freshman year. But you can thin it down to where it's like watercolor. I love the pigment of it. It's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to show you some pieces. Oh, some people who paint with gouache that you may know. Chris Van Dusen, he lives here in Maine. He's a master at painting with gouache. Bill Mayer, if you don't know him, you should follow him on Facebook and Instagram. He does these beautiful, beautiful paintings with gouache. I think they're really small too. I don't think they're very big. And I crack and fall off too. That's good. That's good. Mary Blair, you all know Mary Blair, famous Disney artist. She painted with gouache. I actually got to see one of her exhibits a few years ago at the Eric Carle, and it was just stunning. And James Gurney, he's another one who paints with gouache. 50s and 60s used gouache for advertising illustration because it dries so quickly, and it can have a look of oil. Again, you can't put it on too thick because it will crack and fall off. So I'm just going to show you a couple pieces I did in gouache. This pig here I did a couple years ago. It's all done in gouache. You can see in some areas you can actually put it on somewhat thick, which is a lot of fun. Again, I just kind of sat down and just painted this. This probably took me a day to paint. Where's another piece? This one was painted in gouache. This took me a couple of days to do because I painted all the socks. And this is actually for a book concept that I've been working on for a while. All right, let me move these out of the way and I'll show you one more. This one I just did for fun. Sorry if there's a glare. And my lighting's a little on the dark side. Oh, Matt does. Okay, that's good to know. This, again, you can see you can put it on thick or you can water it down where it's like watercolor like I did in the background. So, hi Aunt Connie. So I kind of tend to mix them. I like my prominent shapes and characters to be painted thick, and then everything in the background I want recessed, I kind of water down. Does that make sense? Am I explaining this okay? You know, some people, what is it, poster paint is kind of like gouache, a little more on the watery side. So a couple things I did is I did this sketch yesterday. I was just going to do the dog, but then I kind of got carried away and I did the whole scene here. I definitely won't paint the whole scene within an hour. Probably just work on the dog today. So I did that. One thing I like to do then is I scan that in and I did a color study real quick. I used Clip Studio Paint for this. So I just used my pencil sketch and then dropped some color. Sometimes I just kind of wing it when I paint, like the pig. I did not do a color study. I just kind of smeared some paint around and went for it. So when I do my color studies, I will scan those in if I don't do them digitally, and I will do a black and white printout. And this helps me control my values. So I know when I paint this, that this area here is kind of blending in with the truck. So I'm going to actually probably darken this area and then lighten these values in here. That way it kind of stands out. Another trick is that you can squint and it'll kind of tell you your values as well. So, all right, here we go. Oh, thanks, Rena. Yeah, you'll love gouache. Give it a shot. So a couple times people ask me about the Sorel paper. It's what I use to transfer my drawings onto board or paper. And today I am just using a Canson illustration board, which I really love to paint on. It's got a little bit of tooth to it. It's not too smooth. So I did not transfer the dog, so I'm going to do that now. So let me switch back. So you can see I'm using this non-repro blue. So what I'm going to do is, all right, we're just going to transfer this. I'll show you how I do it. I take either I use my original sketch or I'll make a copy of it, tape it over on top of the Sorel paper, transfer it here. So I know this may be kind of boring for some of you, but I had some people ask about how I transfer, so that's why I just kind of left the dog. And I still kind of keep it kind of loose. I don't want to get too rigid here. Does that make sense? Let me wave at some people. Okay. Again, thank you for tuning in this Friday, and I hope everybody is doing well. And this is a crazy time in history, and definitely in our history. So, but hopefully we'll be okay in a month or so. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with this virus? All right, that's enough about the virus. So today is about painting and having some fun and smearing some gouache around. Is there anybody out there that uses gouache? Let me know if you do. Yeah, I love my Sorel paper. I use it to. Oh yeah, Sorel's great. You can get all kinds of different colors. You can get a graphite, yellow. Again, like I use blue. Sometimes what I'll do is though I'll go back over it if I do want the line work to show through, and with like a colored pencil. And gouache loves colored pencil. It's really good at. Let's get the arm here. Almost done transferring this. Oh, Ralph, why do you like the pink and the red? It's interesting. Post why you like that. I'm curious. I'm always curious on what other people do and their techniques. All right, let's see. Did I transfer all that? Yeah, he's all there. And what I'll do is I'll pull this off, but I'll leave this taped because sometimes when I'm painting, I may lose some of the line work and definition. Gone and trace over the area again. So I'll just leave that there. I may flip back and forth, so it brings out the brown in Ralph's eyes. Oh, good, Jennifer. I think you'll have fun with it. All right, so here we go. I put some paint out on a plate. I use these cheap plates. I really like them. I've tried all kinds of palettes and medical trays and all kinds of stuff. I just, some reason, like these cheap book. I will just keep the colors on here and I'll just stack them up. And the good thing about gouache, it's like watercolor. If it starts drying out, you can just spritz it. This is my activator, I call it. It just has water in it. If I'm painting a large area solid color, like if I was going to paint the background blue on this, but I had a much larger sheet, I would actually put a drop or two of ivory dish soap. It has to be the white creamy stuff, and it prevents streaking because gouache can streak on you. All right, here we go. We're going to start smearing some paint around. Again, people color study here to work from. And then I have my value. I took my color study, printed out in black and white. Just make sure my values are separating. There's a little bit of issue in here, but we'll take care of that. And I already got paint on me. This is great. Makes it look like I've done something today. Again, we're just gonna focus on the dog today. But I will put a wash down because I like doing that. Let me grab a brush here. All right. Since like orange is gonna kind of be my, let me put some orange down on this. That streaking, that was the thing I hated about gouache. Great tip. Yeah, that's funny, David. So I'm just gonna put some tone here. Just gonna tone this. That way I don't have the white showing through. And I'm just keeping it kind of real loose and watery, not worrying about things. Sometimes I will use an acrylic gouache. It's just like acrylic paint, but again, it has the chalk in it, so it's not as glossy as an acrylic paint. Hey Kelly, great illustrator, author. So there, I'm just doing a wash. It got a little dark on me, so I'm just gonna dab this. Hey Sam. So it's just kind of, all right, you see I'm starting to lose, whoops, there we go. First mistake. How did I get black paint on me? Told you, this is gonna be a train wreck. So I'm gonna let that dry for a second, and then I may put my Sorel paper back over it. Just kind of wiped it a little too much. And I'll take my grayscale study, and I'll just trace back over this real quick. Guys, and I'll just keep it kind of loose again. And if I'm going to outline the illustration, I'll do that at the very end. It's just kind of my thing. I know some people outline at the beginning and then paint over that, which is fine. Whatever you would like to do. All right, so let's do that. Let's get the eyes back in. Working without a net. Oh, you got that right, David. Again, this could be, like I said, this could be a complete train wreck. That's okay. You learn from your train wrecks. You learn more from your mistakes than the pieces that you think you did a good job on. Which, being an artist, we do a good job on any of pieces we've done. We have to let somebody else tell us that. Thank you. Hey Priscilla, how you doing? Again, I'm just kind of leaning back, just retracing this. Wow, that got really dark. I kind of like that though. We'll just leave that because we're going to cover it up. Okay, let's get some color on this guy or gal. Let me wet my brush. Again, I use these cheap plates I find at yard sales or Family Dollar. I don't like the palette with all the little trays and stuff. It just kind of drives me crazy. But then again, you know, your colors don't run all over the place, but that's all right. So I'm gonna mix a little bit, because I'm gonna start again with my color study. So there's my color study. You're right, Ralph. I did have a couple of ceramic. All right, I'm mixing a little bit of orange into this burnt sienna. And oh, the other thing I do is I have a scrap piece of paper that I will see if I like the color. Actually, I kind of like that. So I'll keep that over here. All right, let's just start painting. See where this goes. Brush. Get a finer brush. I have a whole thing of brushes next to me, so kind of have to bend over to the side. Let's see. Where's the? There we go. Here we go. We're gonna start. Knocking a black spot at a time. I like that. I like your thinking. All right. So again, I just kind of block things in. Yeah, let's go around the eye. Again, I'm not too concerned about being clean here because with gouache, it being opaque. All right, you can paint over any areas. Let's go like that. Again, I'm kind of looking at my color study here. And I did my color study digitally just to save some time. Do you ever stretch the paper before using? Yes, Marty. If I'm using like watercolor paper, I will definitely stretch it. I'll tape it down. I'll wet it, tape it to a board, and let it dry. I know some people actually will staple it to a board. I guess it really depends how big the piece is. I'm just kind of blocking in some dark areas here. I mixed just a touch of black to this color. Some people are like, oh, what's your color theory? I don't know. It's just, I just follow my gut. I don't know if I really have a color theory. Besides, you know, warm and cools together. Hey, Robert, how are you doing? All right, let's see here. So I'm just blocking in. I'm not worrying about staying in the lines too much. Again, I'm thinking about my darks and lights. Let's clean the brush. All right, let's add a little bit of white. The pink got a little. So the next I will block in will be this orange. That's next. I'm actually just going to use this pure orange. I kind of like it. Why reinvent the wheel? So it's just. I mean, this is kind of how I work. I just block in. I'm not worrying about focusing on one area too much, because I could change my mind with the colors as I'm working, and I don't want to get too much detail in. So again, I'm just kind of, and those just joining us, this is my color study that I'm working from. So you can see that. Let's have that next to me. You have any questions? I'm trying to paint and lean back at the same time. It's like me trying to paint and think. Oh yeah, I should probably his arm here, or her arm. Let's get this. And sometimes I got it a little too watery. That's all right, I don't mind if it bleeds, who cares? You can always just those just joining in, I've never painted live before, so. I'm seeing how this goes. I'm gonna get a finer brush. I don't like that brush. Where's my... There we go. All right. And next, I'll do this while I'm mixing. So I'm adding a little bit of white. I'm just going to add a dollop of that because I don't want this pure white in here. Because I like adding the pure white at the very end to help give it depth. I know what you mean. Oh, let me wave at a few. Hi, Paul. Hey, Tim. Hey, Allison. Here we go. Let me finish waving. Okay. Actually, I take that back. I did paint live for a bunch of school kids in March. We did. Allison is the director at Island Readers and Writers, great organization. They send authors to remote areas of Maine for school visits. We did a visit in March where we had the kids painting with gouache. That was a lot of fun. So again, I'm just kind of blocking in. Do you prefer gouache or watercolor? I actually prefer gouache because I like putting the paint on thick. And plus I can thin this down to like watercolor. You're welcome, Allison. My pleasure. Can you guys see okay? Is this looking all right? My cousin Kay. Oh, my Aunt Peggy. Oh, family from Indiana. All right, let's get some more colors here. All right. So I'm trying to do this without casting a shadow, but all right, it's going to be on. Actually, I can't see what I'm doing. I mean, this is how I work. I just kind of block in. I'm not worrying about details. It's a little sloppy, but that's okay. Jason, how you doing? And again, I'm going to refer to my color study. I'll just keep showing you. I'm going to block in the red area of the mouth to give it some depth. And I use Clip Studio Paint, Pro Paint. I can't remember what it's called. That's what I've gone to with my digital work now. I've gone using that software. I really like it. Again, I have a, thanks Jason. I have a scrap piece of paper. I just see if I like the colors. So yeah, that red got muted. And I just added a touch of blue to it. I try not to use black too much when I darken a color. I try to use its complementary color. So again, I'm just blocking this in. Try to follow the guidelines. Sometimes I change things while I'm painting. So there, we're getting some depth. This is really hard to paint and leaning back. Hey Tanya, hey Willie. And now I'm going to mix a pink for the inside of the tongue and the inside of the ear. And on the dog, I'll probably paint the nose last because when you add that really dark color at the end, I think the painting comes alive. That's my opinion. I could be very wrong. And I'll try to mix these colors in front of you guys. So again, I really have no real theory when I'm mixing color. I just follow my instinct. Like if I think that's too pink, I may add just a touch of, oh, what is that? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, I'm adding that color. I can't remember what it's called. Right anymore. It's more of a neutral color. I kind of like neutral colors. Then I use the bright colors for pop. All right, so let's just paint this. All right. Yeah, I like that. You guys like that pink? It's not as bright. It's not a happy pink, as Bob Ross would say. All right, my brush is a little dry. Go like that. Again, I'm just blocking in. I'm not worried too much about details. And we're only going to get this dog done today. All right. You can see it's covering up the lines when you start painting with gouache. That's the beauty of it, the thickness. And you know, I kind of got outside the line there, but who cares? Because then I'll start switching to a smaller brush and start blending. All right, I'm gonna wipe paint on my paint. Let's go back. I missed some areas here. So I'm just gonna put some toning here. I would probably paint the truck first before I would painted the dog, before I would have done the dog, but that's really good English. All right, I'm just still blocking in. Not worried too much. Yeah, got a little bit of pink in there. I kind of like that. Happy accidents, right? There we go. All right, I'm going to switch to a finer brush, and we're going to start refining the dog a little bit. I won't put the nose or the eye in until the very end. Let me wet the brush. Hey, Zach. Is this helping you guys? Is this good? Bad? Again, I'll try to. So that's burnt sienna. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue in there to darken that. Now let's just. I'm sorry if I have to block this, but I want to get that area in there. Okay, so, all right. Now let's get this. See, the reason I had this, it's ultramarine blue, so it's got a little more red in it, and it won't kill the color like black will. All right, so let's start cleaning this up a little bit. Hopefully you can see okay. Again, this is kind of how my approach is. Chris Van Dusen probably has a different one. Again, if you don't know Chris, you should follow him. He's a master illustrator. It's phenomenal and a super nice guy. I have to throw that in. And James Gurney, you should follow. He paints a lot with gouache. He does a lot of color studies, like Alla Prima. And another person you should follow on Facebook is Bill Mayer. He does these beautiful small paintings, and they are just incredible. So I'm just getting in my dark areas in right now, kind of refining those, maybe clean up an edge here. My paint's still pretty wet, so I'm not worried about spritzing that just yet. So then you can start seeing more of the brush strokes. Hi, Lucy. I'm going to wave. Hi, Carrie. Hey, Tom. And waving. Okay, sorry if the camera's shaking. So again, one thing I might actually do in this, just to give it a little more pop, is I actually may put just a little bit of the ultramarine in there, so it's not so brownish. See how it gives it a little bit of pop? That's just kind of my thing. And as I paint over it, it won't be so bright. Yeah, it's darkening this around his eye a little bit. And then here, because that's going to have a shadow. My light source is coming this way, so I have to keep that in mind. Even though, hey, Bill. I'm going to wave at Bill. All right. And then I'll just kind of start going over this, and I'll recede that a bit. So I'm actually mixing on the illustration board. I kind of like doing that. So the color's still there, but I'm mixing. I'll tone this down a bit. You see that, just that little touch of the ultramarine blue poking through on the brown. Gives it a little more light. Thanks, Anna. Hey, Mandy. Hey, Donna. Well, I'm painting. If people want to say where they're from right now, that would be great, because I'd like to know. I know where most of you are. I don't mean that in a weird stalking kind of a way. I'm just going to pull some of that brown there. Again, I'm just refining. I'm not worried too much about making it look like fur. I'm just blocking in. It's just kind of my process. I know some people just they just put in large shapes and they just blend. Somebody else who paints with gouache that you guys may know. What's her name? I'm horrible with names lately. I'm just gonna pull some out there. Then I'm starting to kind of soften some edges here because I don't want them hard edges. Hey, Kim. Is this looking okay? I hope so. Anybody painting along? Or are you just letting me do this by myself and you're gonna learn what not to do? All right, let's get a little bit of shadow. Got to think about your reflective light. Again, even though I always kind of think traditionally when I paint. And you learn a lot from the masters, not just illustration, but trying to think, like Sargent, those people, learn a lot from that. And I learn a lot from my friends who are fine artists, like Elena Babick. If you don't know her, you should follow her on Facebook. She will absolutely blow you away with her oil paintings. She does a lot of figurative and portraits, plus they are just stunning. So again, follow her on Facebook. She's a good friend of mine. She lives about 8 miles away. Okay. Hey, Jim. Hey, Al. All right, so again, I'm just blocking in. I'm not worrying too much. So then I might just lighten this up a little bit. See how it's going on thick, which I like saving the white for that. I'd probably do this a little later, but how you can put it on thick. Again, not too thick, because gouache will crack on you. And let's just pull that down here. I'm not worried about feathering my edges just yet, because I would paint the truck first. I kind of go from back to front when I'm doing an illustration. It's just my thing. I agree, Serena. Victoria. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Thanks, Priscilla. Sorry if the camera's shaking. I'm waving and saying hi. Trying to be social, but at a distance. All right. Let's get pull a little bit of a shadow under his nose, or her nose. All right. Get a little more. You can see my plate. I'm just I have my colors around and I just start mixing in the middle. This will be a complete mess. It's just how I work. I wished I was better organized when I'm mixing my colors. But I'm always kind of cross-mixing as I go along. So again, I'm just shadows. Starting to separate, so that means it's getting dry. So I'll just pull that line there. We'll go with the shadow under the nose. And these shadows will soften as I go along. Okay. It's not looking too bad. Not too bad for me leaning back trying to paint. So let me look at this when I'm done with this lesson today and say, oof. So any new people, anybody painted with gouache before? We had to do it in art school. Either you love it or you hate it. There's not a lot of in between. I told some people I paint with gouache, and like, you are nuts. It's like, I don't know, I just like it. I guess it just suits me. We all have our thing. So I'm just darkening the inside of the mouth a little bit because I want the tongue to separate. Sometimes what I'll do is, so the colors, take some of this red and just pop it in. Just some areas. So it kind of pulls it together. That way it doesn't look so separated. Hold on, I'm just going to wave at some people. Waving, waving, waving. There we go. And then I may take some of the inside of the mouth. So I'm probably going to work on the mouth just a little bit. Now we're starting to get some depth in there. And I'm actually cleaning my brush and my pants, so I'm going to be in a lot of trouble when Lynn sees what I've done. I'm just going to pull that here. So now I'm starting to think more about separating the elements of the illustration. Just using some ultramarine blue. So I kind of like getting some purples in there. Don't tell Dan Santat that because he's not a fan of purple. So there, see how we're starting to get some depth in the mouth? Hey, Joe. Is it looking okay, guys? Yep. So I'll try to mix this in front of the camera. So I kind of made this pink. I don't want that. So that's my fault. I didn't clean my brush. I'm contaminating some of my colors. So again, put a little dab here. And let's get this white. And see, I'm just kind of blending into the white here. My colors are staying pretty wet. So, oh, somebody wanted to know what kind of gouache I use. Gouache, but I switched to Holbein. I think I said that right. So this is the gouache brand I use now. I really like the colors. And it's not as watery as Winsor Newton, at least I don't think. Hey, Lisa. So I'm just going to clean up this edge here. So now I'm going to start thinking about cleaning up some edges. And it's starting to get tacky, so I may have to spritz this. If you have any questions, just go ahead and, you know what, before I paint this area, I should get the color in. So those of you just joining in, I have a color study that I scanned in, and I just painted this real quick in Clip Studio Paint. And then from there, I will turn that into a grayscale just so I can keep my values separated. So that was a turquoise color. I gotta grab another paint here. Oops. Dropping things everywhere. And also, if you're just joining in, oops, there we go. See, I bumped it. I messed everything up. I just use these cheap plates I buy at Family Dollar or you find in yard sales. I don't like the regular palettes with the little, because I like to cross mix my colors. I like, blend this into my white to get the value I want and the color I want, and I'm blending, I'm kind of blending all around. This will be a complete mess if it's not already. So where's my turquoise? So I wanted his color, not so much blue, but more of a turquoise. So I'm just going to put that in. Brand of brushes do you like? I really don't know. When my mother-in-law passed, and she just basically had an art store in her studio, so I got a lot of the brushes. So, and she actually worked at an art store as well. So I guess, what are these? These are Cornell brushes. So I got like 3,000 brushes when she passed away. I usually like sable, just because, I think the paint flows a bit better. But as far as a brand, I don't know. Hey, if it's free, I kind of like it. So I'm just gonna get the highlight in here. I'll just pull that like that. Tom, did I answer your question? Probably not. So again, I'm just blocking in as I work. I kind of work all over the place. And let's see. Oh, I'm going to darken that thin side. I'm always thinking about my shadows and my highlights. So I'm just going to put this dark here to give it some depth. There we go. Now you can, that looks like his neck is sticking through his collar. Anybody have any other questions while I'm doing this? Besides, I don't want to paint with gouache. Let me wave at some people. Sorry. Hey, Lisa. Hi, Carol. Hi, Julie. If I missed him, sorry this is shaking because I have my iPhone clamped. All right, let me pull this. I want this dark here. Hey, Mary Louise. And also as I start refining, so I wouldn't go this way in the mouth because I know the mouth is kind of curved. I'm following this shape. So it's almost like how I do my pencil work. I always think about following the form. And I might pull just a little bit here. And it's going to be darker here. So now you're starting to see, hopefully you're starting to see some depth. And I might just pull this line here to clean that up. And same way up here. And we'll just pull that all the way in. So you can see now I'm starting to refine a bit more as I got it blocked in. And let me just wave. Okay. Let me make the tip of his ears dark. All right, we're gonna start adding some black. I'm gonna start painting the nose. Because once I do this, And this I'm just using a pure black right now because I'll go back over it with some with a blue. So again, I'm just blocking it in. So now it's starting to come to life when you add the absolute darks to it. Not worrying too much about details. And I usually wouldn't put the eye in, but since I already have black on the brush. See, that little bit of black made him come to life. So now what I'll do is I'll start putting some blue in his nose. Because I know the top part's going to be a highlight. You may not be able to see it. It is a little lighter. And touch white here. All right, so I'm going to add this here. So now his nose is starting to come alive a little bit. And since my light's coming here, you're going to see a little bit reflect the light in the nostril. And then maybe just add a touch here. Okay. What do you guys think? Looking okay? Now, what I may do in this area here, I just mix some white. Oh my God, I didn't clean my brush. I just made a gray. All right, let's see. Let's get some yellow going. So I may mix just a little bit of really light yellow just to give that area a little more life. Looks a little flat. Let's see. And I kind of think the lighter your color, the heavier the paint. That's kind of how I do it. And I'm starting to clean up the edges a little bit. All right, so let's start. Add that little bit of the yellow white here. And that's so small of an area, it's really kind of hard to follow the form. And I'm liking the really light yellow. Let's clean this up. And I'll lighten that shadow here and soften the edges here. You know what? Let's clean this up. I'm just going to clean up his eye a little bit. And it's got an eye over here, which I forgot to add the touch of black. Which do you prefer, digital color or paint? I actually love paints. It's just, I work digitally as well. I just like the whole thing of mixing colors and painting and being, having paint all over you. I just like that feeling. All right. We'll put some lighter areas here. You can see my transfer lines that I use with the Sorel paper are starting to disappear. And, I do like some of the blue poking through. Jason, have you ever tried Clip Studio Paint? If you have a Wacom tablet, or I actually just bought a XP pen tablet. It's great to paint with. I think I like it better than Photoshop. I mean, you may not have as many brushes. That is that's true, Jason. All right. Let's get some more color. Now I just want to get some color in his teeth. So this is kind of a turquoise gray, and this is going to be a shadow under his lip. And then I actually may pull some of this in here. There we go. Hey Tam, how you doing? Keith Moyer. Oh my God. Keith Moyer and I went to high school together back in the 1800s. How you doing, Keith Moyer? Okay, so since I have some of this blue here, I actually like putting touches of blue in various points because I think it starts pulling the painting together. It's just my thing. Somebody, a purist might like, no, don't do that. So, but it's just. Bradley, another one I went to high school with. It's like a reunion. Kind of, why is a reunion? All right, so again, I'm just putting some of this blue in some areas as highlights. And let's see, I want to get a dark here. Let's get a dark. So I want to separate. There we go. Now we're getting some shadow in there. All right. I'll just pull this around and then put some under his lip. That way he's starting to lift off the page a bit. I'm going to start toning down some of this, but I don't want it completely disappearing. And I thought about making the tips of his ears black. I think we still do that. Let's see. Sorry if my shadow is going to block for a second. I want the tip of the ears black to give it a little more. So let's do that. Oh, I like the tips of the ears black. What do you guys think? Hey, Elena, we were just talking about you. Trying to tell everybody they should follow you and see your beautiful paintings. So, yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of the black in there. Again, I don't use a lot of black unless I have to. All right, let's get some of the blue on this tongue. Again, see, I just like mixing some of the colors right on the illustration. Put a little bit of blue on his tongue, and just put a little bit of blue here. I'm trying to, so it doesn't look so segmented. Joining me, if you're just joining me, we're just painting the dog today, and I started out with this sketch I did yesterday. Hold on, I got tape everywhere. So we started with this, and then I scanned in that sketch, and I did a color study, and using Clip Studio Paint, and then I take my color study, and I do a grayscale, so I make sure my values are consistent. I don't have anything blending like in here. It's a little, looks like a. So now we're just blocking in with gouache. And this is my paint tray, it's an old plate. All right, let's get some more. Actually, I want a little bit yellow in his teeth. I don't want it white. Let's get some yellow in there. And my paint is starting to dry a little bit, so I just use this, and I just missed. All right, so where's that yellow at? There we go. Need that light yellow. So again, I'm thinking warm and cool together, so the shadow of his teeth is blue, And then I'm putting this really light yellow in his teeth to give him some life. And we'll put some of that here. And my light colors, I kind of put on thick with gouache, but not too thick, because we talked about it earlier. It can break and fall. So let's bring this up in here. What was that? That's funny, Jason. Thanks, Norma. All right, so now I'm just going to soften up some edges, and I'm going to start wisping my lines in. I'm going from light to dark to soften that. And we'll do that here a little bit. I don't want that too dark. So again, I do a lot of my mixing right on the illustration. And let's just pull that there, and I'm going to pull that over here. I'll put some here. And you can dab with your finger too, to lighten things. All right, just going to pull some of that there. So again, people just joining, this is my paint tray. It is I think this is a plastic plate. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Let's see, let's clean up some of the edges now. So I'm gonna go, my paint's gonna get a little thinner here so I can actually pull these. And I don't want a complete line, because then I get a little too cartoony, even though it is a cartoony kind of character. Let's pull that there. And let's give it some softness. So I'm just pulling my shadow area lines right now, trying to clean up some edges. And since my paint is thinning out a bit, I'm actually going to put it here too. So softening some edges. I'm going to start blending that in a little better. And top of his head. A bit. And let's darken that up. Let's put his eyebrow. So I'm going to put his eyebrow on. That way he's quite happy. He's a happy pup. Or she's a happy pup. There we go. Attending late. How did you transfer your image to the paint surface, and what's the yellowish background? Okay, good question. So set this down. So I took my grayscale and I put this Sorel paper. You can buy it in a roll. You can get all kinds of different colors. I kind of like the blue. I think this is a non-repro blue. And I put that down, and then I just traced over my grayscale, and it transferred the drawing. You can see the light blue that's under there. Okay, what's the other? And I just did a wash of a real light orangey yellow, just because I didn't want the white of the paper showing through. So I just toned it. Jill. And also, I'll just show you some people just joining. These are some of my other gouache paintings I've done. It's for a book that I've been writing for ages. And then this guy, the pig, painted him a couple of years ago. That's all done in gouache. And then one more I'll show you. There we go. The frog I painted. And again, with gouache, you can put it on thick, or you can put it on roll like watercolor. You can thin it out. So how we doing on time? Well, our hour's almost up. So does anybody have any questions? Any other questions? Because I have an appointment another appointment soon, so I need to be prepared for that. So again, you know, I just kind of block things in. I didn't worry about blending too much. And I can do that now if I want, because I can, you know, wet the brush. And I kind of mix my colors, a lot of my colors right on the illustration. If those colors and blues and stuff in to give it a little more life, like I'll put just a little bit of blue. If it gets too dark, then I can just dab it. Oops. I create my color study first. So this is my color study that I did. I just took my sketch and I scanned it in. And I painted it in Clip Studio Paint. And then I just take that color study and I just turn it to a grayscale, just to make sure it's working. And the only area I really see that kind of blends together is, so I have to, instead of redoing the whole thing, I just make a note that I know to really separate that. I do like gouache because it's flat. I really love the painters from the illustrators from the 50s and 60s who did a lot of the ad work. There were so many women and men who had just a great flat style, but you can see all the brush strokes. I've always loved that. Some other artists I like is Chris Van Dusen. He's a children's book illustrator. He's a master of painting gouache. Make sure you follow him on Facebook and Instagram. Another person is Bill Mayer. He does these beautiful gouache paintings, and they're real tiny, and he posts things on Facebook and Instagram all the time. Of course, Mary Blair, she's a master. She did a lot of stuff for Disney years ago, which was just mind-blowing. And James Gurney's another one. He does these beautiful little color studies. He does alla prima color studies with gouache that just blows your mind. Master of color. What brand do you use again? Oh, okay. I usually use the Winsor Newton gouache, but I switched over to this brand called Holben. I hope I pronounced that right. Let me find another tube. They kind of have different designs for their tubes. And I just like this because I think the color's got a little more zing to it, and the paint is not as watery. When you squeeze out of the tube, you don't get that. Sometimes, you know, in like a student grade paint, you squeeze something out and you see water running out. This is pretty solid. So that's what I'll do. If I really want to brighten up a color because gouache is so flat, I'll put a drop or two of Dr. Martin's dyes in it to really give it some pop. And if I'm painting a large area, like if this was, I don't know, 11 by 17, and I want the whole background a solid blue, I will put a couple drops of ivory liquid in my gouache, and that helps prevent streaking. I know it's kind of crazy. I learned that my freshman year of art school. The senior said, hey, if you want to keep your gouache from streaking, ivory liquid. That was a good question. Hope I answered that. I kind of went off on a tangent. Hi, Olga. I'm just going to wave. So I think I'm just going to stop here. Maybe I'll paint on this over the weekend. And or if you want, I can Friday. But maybe I was thinking maybe we'll do something with pen and ink work next Friday. I'm just going to kind of soften that. That blue got a little dark on me. So I kind of do this. I'll start looking at it like, oh, I need to fix that. So there we go. You can still see it there. And I want his cheekbone to pop, so I'm going to put a little dark there. That's okay, Olga. You can. I will post this on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. You can go and watch the beginning. And I think this stays on Facebook for 24 hours. Is that right? I don't know. I should listen. So now I'm just going to kind of. Now I'm starting to, like, oh, I would sit here and refine. And so, you know, I'm kind of using the paint that I'm picking up off the illustration, but I don't want to remove too much because then you'll start seeing the fibers of the paper. So there, so I don't know, what do you guys think? I think I'm going to stop right here. I really appreciate you tuning in. This has been fun. Thought this was going to be a complete train wreck because I've really never painted live before. So I don't think it went too bad. You guys can let me know if it did. See, I'm going to pull some of that. If I didn't have another appointment at noon, I would sit here and just paint on this the rest of the day. So, but now I'm just going to see, I'm kind of refining the edges so you can see them. And, yep. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop there. That way I don't drive myself crazy and drive you crazy just refining. So that's basically my approach. Another 2 or 3 hours just on the dog refining. And what I may do in some areas is I would take some colored pencil and clean up some edges if I want them nice and clean. Chris Van Dusen, when he paints, he has these beautiful clean edges. I'm not sure how he does it, but definitely check out his work. Again, his work, Bill Mayer's work, and James Gurney, and you guys know Mary Blair. She's a master. So if you have any questions, feel free to you can send me a message, or you can post on, underneath the video in the comments section, and I'll try to answer them. I may miss them if I miss them, and just send me a private message. Okay, I hope everybody stays healthy, stay safe, and I will see you next Friday. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.